This is Herb Strather on Detroit Talk Radio, the Herb Strather Show. And I thank you very much for joining me today. We have quite an exciting show today. And we're waiting on our guest. He's notified us that he's running a little late because of the weather, which gives me an excellent opportunity to prep you on what I'm going to talk to him about. And I hope I get a message before he really get here, because I want you to be able to read between the lines. Our guest today is going to be Naca, National Assistance Corporation of America, and they are unique lenders all over the country. And what I want to know is how can we effectively use them to leverage real estate in terms of taking cash out, if possible, and structuring deals that where you don't have to put any money in. Now, you're going to have to read between the lines, because I'm not going to necessarily ask him, the question totally directly. But there's something I want to talk to you about before you get here. And one of the things we're talking about is using mortgages, seller-held mortgages, in lieu of land contracts. Now, you heard a lot about land contracts. What's the issue with land contracts? Appraisers do not give them as much credit as they would a mortgage. And sometimes they just discount them and don't use them at all, because it's a deal between a seller and a buyer. And anything can be structured. I often structure land contracts with discounts. Like if I'm going to sell something for $100,000, I might make a deal for $110,000. And I tell the guy, if he pay me, I'll give him a discount. Or even if it's $100,000, I give him a discount of 10%, 5%, 10%, some amount. And there are reasons that I do it. For one, it assures more timely payments. In other words, if you pay me on time, you get the discount. If you're late, then the discount is void. That's one thing. So that's a really good thing. And then it also allows to take cash out. But how about what impact does it have on appraisers and your ability to refinance? Remember, when you do a land contract, if it's a short-term, 3-year, 5-year, or 6 months, temporary land contract in that case, you've got to refinance, and your sale can be a comp itself. Let's face it, nobody knows what values are today. They're all over the place. Values are all over the place, and you or I do not really know, because we can ask 10 people what they think a particular value is, and we'll get 8 different answers. We'll get everything from $20,000 to $60,000. Now, that wasn't true 10, 15 years ago. You may say, oh, it's worth $30,000 to $35,000 or $80,000 to $85,000. You would be in a pretty tight range, but not today. And you know what? You can almost prove everybody's right. It depends if you're talking to a city assessor, a bank that's foreclosing, or a seller that want to sell their property and they owe a lot on it. They're going to be at the high end. They're not giving them away, whereas the banks, they're pretty much giving them away, because most people know, it's not a surprise, it's not a secret that the banks are reimbursed for their property tax losses. Now, I want you to understand that. The banks are reimbursed for their losses. That was part of the TARP package that Obama administration put in place. Well, let's go back to the subject matter of using mortgages as seller-held mortgages rather than land contracts, which is still seller financing. A mortgage, you give someone a mortgage, they give you a mortgage, and they sign a promissory note to pay you, and you give them a deed. You take back a mortgage and a promissory note. Now, that would be recorded as a WD, warranty deed, or QCD, quick claim deed, MTG mortgage. Those are the recorded documents, and those are the things that the computers pick up whenever appraisers are appraising property. Now, of course, you might say, Herb, is still seller held. They know the seller did it. Not necessarily. What you can essentially do, you could have your mortgage created by a mortgage company, a licensed mortgage company they created, and since you are the seller, you hold the paper. They create it and they give you an assignment of that mortgage, because you essentially is buying your own mortgage back. Now, if they have an investor who's going to buy that mortgage, or they're going to put the money up, then they put the mortgage on and cash you out. Either you're going to finance that mortgage or you're going to get the cash. So legitimately speaking, too, you have to take and be licensed to do mortgages. So you could do one, you could sell one property, but let's say if you want to sell multiple properties, then you need to get a license. You don't have to necessarily have the license. You could go to a licensed lender. And if any of you have any questions about that, we're here to help you. This is Herb Strather, and just want to give you a quick, my phone number is 313-444-9691. And I want to shout out to my good friends over at the Home Team in New Center. They are licensed mortgagees, and they don't know I'm giving them this plug, but I found them to be have incredible credibility. A group of young men that I'm very proud to be associated with, and we plan to do a lot of business with them in the future. So you could have a mortgage created. Now, there are 4 distinct benefits that I believe that you could derive from doing the mortgages. Discounted seller-held mortgages. Number 1, you create comps in the community, comparables for the appraisers. You also create a comp for yourself to refinance out. You, in addition to that, you can assure more timely payments. At least there's going to be a tremendous effort to make timely payments. And you can discount. You can discount and take cash out. Got $100,000, you pay this mortgage off within 24 months. It's a 5-year note. You pay it off within 24 months, 36 months, pay it early, pay it as agreed, and any time before the due date, you are entitled to X% discount. That's perfectly legitimate, and that could be by a agreement. That could even be in a purchase agreement that survives the closing. Sometimes you might not want to put that in. You wouldn't put it in a mortgage anyway, but it would be in the note, or it could be in a purchase agreement that survives the closing. So. Think about that. Seller-held mortgages in lieu of land contracts. They and have a legitimate mortgage company create the mortgage for you and give you an assignment of that document. So you hold the paper. You sold the property, you hold the paper. The discount could very well be tucked into a purchase agreement, and when something survives the closing, because purchase agreements are temporary documents, they're preliminary, and at the time of closing, everything dies unless it survived the closing. Now, one of the questions that we have that I want to try to find out from our guests when they arrive, and they should be arriving in the next 4 minutes, about 4 or 5 minutes, they should be here. One of the programs that Naca have, which is wonderful, is no closing costs, none, no closing costs, no down payment, and they believe in your credit payment history more than they do a credit score. Now, there's some rationale there. Here's the rationale. Number 1, everyone that was foreclosed had enough credit to get a mortgage. They had the credit to get the mortgage in the first place, but they got foreclosed. So it makes sense that all of the foreclosures was people who had credit. So the reason they lost their property was because the payments were so high they couldn't make it in most cases. There may be a few examples where people just didn't want the mortgages because they were so far underwater. But in most cases, the foreclosures occurred for financial reasons. They was unable to make the mortgage payment. So what Naca's position is, can you essentially make the mortgage payment? Have you demonstrated through savings or mortgage payment that you can make these mortgage payments? If you have, guess what? They're willing to give you a loan. Now, that's really, 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 really good news. I think he was telling me that they gave a mortgage for $200,000, and the young lady had a 5.25%, 5.25% credit score. 525 credit score on a $200,000 mortgage. That is absolutely phenomenal, everybody. So what we're going to do, is talk about how maybe we could work with Naca. One of the things I want you to remember is this. In my purchase agreements, I put no proration of taxes. Now, just remember that while we're in our interview. If there's, they allow 6% seller concessions, 6% seller concessions, and we're going to try to define what those are. And one of the things they may not do is allow a seller to put up escrows for buyers. But how about the proration of taxes? Are they silent on that? Get back with you in a minute. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, we are back. This is Herb Strather and the Herb Strather Detroit Talk Radio Show, and I have my main man, our guest, Donnell Covey. Donnell, did I pronounce your last name right this time?
Yep, that was right this time.
All right, and I'm very happy to have Donnell here. We're very good friends. He's a colleague, and actually he's a former student of ours a few years ago. And I'm just so happy that he is now heading up Naca. Now, Donnell, I want you to just tell us about how is it that Naca originated? Was this a settlement with B of A, a Citicorp, or other lenders, or who all is involved? Who are the underwriters, and how did all of this come about?
Okay.
That we should be so fortunate
good question.
to get such a great program, which y'all will learn about in a minute.
Right. Good question. Well, NACA stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America.
Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America.
Right.
Okay.
It started in 1988. Our CEO, Bruce Marks, was fighting against predatory lending.
That was 30 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Been around that long, fighting against predatory lending, making sure that homeowners didn't have predatory terms in their loan. Adjustable interest rates, down payment, things like that, or you get a higher interest rate because your credit score is low, things like that. So that's how NACA started fighting against that. So they fought against Bank of America. They fought against Citibank, which is our two main lenders that we use to underwrite these loans. Right. So what they did was they said, okay, well, we'll give you $13 billion. You lend it the way that you want to lend it. So that's how we came. $13 billion with a B.
With a B.
With a B.
Did y'all hear that? With a B.
And we're trying to give this money away. There's no down payment, no closing costs. What kind of progress
are you all making? How much have you lent?
I don't know the total amount, but we have a ways to go. We still have a lot of that $13 billion to lend.
How long you been in the Detroit area?
We've been in the Detroit area just over 2 years.
Oh, you just came here?
Yes.
But are you suggesting that you were in other states 30 years ago?
Yes.
And you just what took you so long? I mean, we needed you a long time ago around this place, man. But you've been here a couple of years now.
Yes.
That's good. And you're located on?
We're located at 3031 West Grand Boulevard.
And what is your phone number? We're going to keep giving it out because some of the people may not be able to hang with us the full period of time.
The phone number, it is area code 281-204-6222. Now, I do understand that's a Texas number. It starts at 281. However, it does ring our Detroit office. The reason we have that number is the 6222 spells out NACA.
Oh.
So our CEO wanted most of his offices, if he could, regardless of the prefix, to spell out NACA.
281
204 6222.
Okay, so that's it. So plus they'll know all the calls you get. They go there and bounce. So tell me, what kind of, Donnell, when you guys first came around Naca, there was quite truthfully some issues that people were having. I want to, I'm sure you know that.
I know.
Maybe it was so unbelievable and everybody rushed to you and you didn't have enough help, or maybe everybody wasn't quite equipped how to handle it. Can you tell us about how is it that you kind of got in trouble initially?
Yes. So when we got to Detroit, we had press conference with Mayor Duggan, and the demand was huge. And I don't think our CEO expected it to be as huge as it was. So our workshops and the things that we were doing, we had thousands of people coming and wanting this product, but we weren't staffed, and our staff here wasn't up to speed and couldn't handle that. So there was a lack of customer service.
Okay,
But
that's
like I
a good
said,
answer. I mean, that's a truthful answer.
yeah, that is the truthful answer. But we've been here 2 years now. I've been with Naca just over a year, and I'm changing that.
Okay.
My biggest focus is customer service.
Okay.
I believe great customer service with this product is phenomenal.
So what kind of staff do you have there, may I ask?
Yes, right now we have 3 loan officers. I'm in the process of hiring another. We working on 2 in-house agents, and then myself and my admin.
Okay, so you have a staff of 6 or 7 altogether right
Yes.
now that's handling, and they are
Yes,
trained.
They are trained. One of the guys there has been there since we got here for 2 years now. So we are well trained, well staffed to handle the influx of people.
Well, I'm glad you are bringing in a couple more staff, and I'd like to also use this as a little advertising because one of our Strather Academy interns, long-term interns, are going to be joining you. That's a couple of them. As a matter of fact.
Two.
So that's very, very good. So now, do you handle southeastern Michigan or all of Michigan, first of all?
We handle all of Michigan.
Even the Upper Peninsula?
Yeah, you can go to the UP if you want. It's cold
Wow.
up there, but hey, we would do it. As long as it's in the state of Michigan, my Detroit office can do it. But we also have 35 different offices.
Wow. So I thought it was Detroit area. So Grand Rapids, have you done things like far outside Detroit?
Yeah, we actually have, just last week on Thursdays in our purchase workshop, that's
Yes.
where our qualified people come.
Yes.
There was actually someone there from Grand Rapids who's qualified. He's actually looking now in Grand Rapids to purchase his
Wow,
home.
I did realize that.
Him and his wife and his family.
So what types of loans, what's the maximum loan that you will give?
Now, the maximum loan that we could give is $285,000.
Will you make that amount in Detroit?
In Detroit, it is $215,000.
215 in Detroit.
And,
Why
and,
so
and
low?
anything in Wayne County is $215.
215 in Wayne County.
Yes.
But when you get
Anything
out-
outside of Wayne County is $285.
Now, I understand that certain areas you cannot loan in because they're high end. Is it anything that's is it 6%, over 6% of the area median income? Like, could you make a loan in Parma Woods? I mean, if the price was right, if someone found a great deal in Parma
Yeah, if
Woods.
someone found a great deal in Parma Woods
Yes.
for less than $215,
Yes.
then yes.
I see. So you would make the loan. Now, if it was $250, for example, and they had $35,000 down, then you could still make the loan. Is that correct?
No.
No. Oh,
It's
wait,
the
explain
total.
that to us.
It's the total acquisition cost can't go over our max loan amounts.
Okay, the total acquisition cost.
Right. So if the property was $250,
Yes.
we couldn't do it, regardless of if they were bringing the property, if they were bringing the difference or not, because their acquisition cost to get that house is $250.
I see. So the whole total amount have to be. Now, you allow seller concessions.
Oh,
Yes.
of course. Love seller concessions.
I know about this. I'm asking him something because I know, but I just want you to explain to everybody what seller concessions are and what kind of seller concessions do you allow.
Seller concessions are funds from the seller. They will help with the buyer's closing costs. Well, since we don't have closing costs or down payment, you can use that seller concessions up to 6% to buy down your rate. And when I say buy down your rate, a buyer can use those funds to lower their interest rate.
Okay. What else can you use the money for?
You can use it for what we call our minimum required funds. So that's consistent of your escrows, your tax escrows, your insurance escrows, things like that.
Oh,
so
you can use that.
You can use.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can use that towards the escrows.
Okay,
now,
so-
we get a little picky because we do like to see, we want to make sure someone is going into a home that has some funds.
Then you want to have some skin in
Yeah,
there.
some skin in the game. But if they are low income and we see that they're paying their bills, but they just can't save that money, we will allow that to come from the seller as well.
Now, you don't have to be low income. in order to
You do not have to
participate.
be low income for this. We have no income minimum and no income maximum.
Okay, now, so just to be sure, though, you cannot be an investor in real estate and participate. Is that correct? I heard
Yes,
that. now.
yes,
Wait a minute,
yes,
how
yes.
about if you don't own any residential real estate? You own an apartment building.
You're still an investor.
How about if it's an office building?
That may be a little different because you can't live there.
I see. Okay.
So this has to be your primary residence.
Okay.
And the only way we can know for sure that this is going to be your primary residence and you will not rent it out is to make sure you don't have any other properties in your name.
Okay, so it is a possibility if you are in the retail business, like you own shopping centers or net leases that are commercial, that it's possible that you would have to look into that, but it's possible to qualify. You just want to make sure that this is your primary residence and you don't own any other residential properties. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, that's really good. So I would assume then that you make loans on 1 to 4 units,
Yes, 1 to 4 units. And we also do mixed use.
and you do mixed use. Tell us about the mixed use now.
The mixed use would be a storefront on the bottom and residential on the top or on the side, but connected to it.
Connected to it.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask a question. Say that you got commercial on the bottom, and upstairs you got about 5 or 6 units, but they want to knock out the walls, make them luxury, not luxury, just larger units, and at the end of the day, they end up being 4.
Yes.
In other words, they want to combine the units and make them, take a 6 unit and make it into a 4 unit. Would that qualify for
That will qualify, yes, as long as you live in one of those units.
That's absolutely fabulous. So if someone had a 5-unit building somewhere, they could convert that to a 4 unit and that would still qualify. Would that be true?
That's true.
Now, that is very significant, everyone. What Donnell has just said is that you could convert a 5-unit into a 4 unit. And why is that important? For a lot of reasons, because a 5-unit is probably the toughest thing to finance. It has a commercial application, which means that you got to go through all the hoops to get a commercial loan, which is much more expensive. The appraisal is $2,500. You got to get an environmental inspection, on and on and on and on and on. So you have all of this cost on a 5-unit and spread that cost over a 5 unit. It's really a very tough transaction. And it's much easier, and the amount you could borrow, 75% on a 5-unit, it's much easier to convert it to a 4-unit. And then you could borrow 100% from you.
Yes.
Or 96.5% just regular FHA.
Correct.
So is there any special programs for veterans?
We don't have any special programs at Naca for veterans because
They have their own, for one.
They have their own for one, but our product usually beats theirs anyway.
You think?
They still have an origination fee, unless it's I think it's like disabled veteran or something like that. But they still have that 1% origination fee, which we don't have that.
Now, one of the problems, and I get some
And
questions.
One thing too,
Okay, go
our
ahead.
interest rate is always lower.
Your interest rate. Do you know what your current interest rate is right now?
3.625.
3.625. That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because FHA is around 3.8 now, somewhere around there. So do you track yours based on FHA, or you just reprice them as you go along?
It just get repriced as we go along. We're usually at least a quarter point lower than anyone else out there.
So
the
how
market
often
rate.
are they repriced? At any time that
Anytime the market changes,
if
ours
there's a
changes
significant
with it.
change. Well, what can you do about people who have a home now? You know, the home could be free and clear. They may have ability to pay off a land contract. Somebody say, look, you pay off this land contract, I'll give you $5,000 off, or there's an incentive. You know, I'll pay your closing cost, whatever. You know, they have an incentive and a discount maybe to pay off a land contract or just to refinance it.
Right. We would love to refi land contracts. One, because most of those have some type of predatory term in it, or it's just a very high interest rate.
Yes.
So, you know, you're talking 5 to 8, sometimes higher percent interest rate on those land contracts.
I'll ask you a question. I want to come back to this, but define predatory for us. Now, what would be defined predatory? Is the 6% interest rate predatory today? Or do you know precisely
I
where
would-
that line is at?
I would consider 6% predatory. That's a lot higher than the market rate. And a lot of times, not all, but a lot of times you see people taken advantage of with land contracts. They're put into a situation where they know that they can't really afford this payment. They can't afford this house, but they put down this large down payment. And then basically what happens is they default. That land contract owner evicts them and start the process over again with another buyer doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Large down payment, can't afford the payment.
That's a very true statement. You know, knowledge is a very important thing, and that have cost us an awful lot. Let's go back to underwriting, and I'm going to pick up that knowledge situation. So people who have existing homes, how about if the house is free and clear and they want to do some repairs?
That can be done. Mainly in the city of Detroit, because
Yes.
we're really trying to revitalize the city of Detroit. So that's a definite yes. If the home is free and clear in the city of Detroit, we can do a rehab loan on it, no problem. If it's outside the city, we will take a look at it, and it's a case-by-case basis. If we see that this person is low to moderate income, they fit our target market,
Right.
then we would do that.
How about if someone wanted to refinance, just say, you already said you could refinance a land contract. How about if they
Yes.
want to pull some cash out?
You can't pull cash out.
No cash
We
could be
can't
put
do
out.
cash out. The only thing we would do is for repairs.
For
so
repairs.
if it's equity in there after paying off the land contract,
Let's say if it's free and clear.
if it's free and clear, yeah,
Yes.
they can only do repairs.
They can only do repairs. Oh, I see. So in order to, you can do repairs, but you can't pull cash out.
Right.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So we are kind of, I got quite a few things here I want to talk to you about in terms of prorations themselves. The lenders got to come to the table with prorations. They have to reimburse the seller, for example, of taxes they've already paid. And then they have to put up escrows.
Yes.
Have you read into a case where their income is so low that they do not have to pay property taxes? Have you read into that yet?
I haven't ran into that yet, and I actually learned that from you. That yes, 16 was it 16.5?
16.7.
16.7. They make less than that. They don't have to pay property taxes.
Right.
So I'm starting to pay more attention to that now that I've got that knowledge from you.
Okay, before we go on break here for a couple of minutes, I just want to share this with you. Those of you who are not aware, because this today is, and this month is a lot of hearings with down at Wayne County Treasurer's Office, and it's all about property taxes. Thousands, tens of thousands of Detroiters right now owe property tax, and a great number of those do not even have to pay property taxes. After this show, Darnell, I'm going over to Wayne County Treasurer's Office, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to announce in front of everybody, do you know that you do not have to pay property taxes? Y'all just hang on. We'll be back with you. 789. You could call me up and have a date any old time. All right. We're going to get that number very soon, you all, so stay tuned. We're trying to get that number for our own show so you can remember. So here we're talking to Darnell Covey. He is the director, the office manager, the person in charge of the Naca office for the entire state of Michigan. So you live anywhere in Michigan, you can just call them up. Darnell, what's that phone number one more time?
It's area code 281
281
204
204
6222.
6222. So that's 204 NACA. 281-204-6222, which stands for NACA itself. I'd like to reach out to all of my colleagues in the Detroit Association of Realtors. I hope you all are listening and absorbing this because we could work with NACA. You know, I know some of us had tried earlier and got a little confused, but now we got somebody who knows how to take care of business, who knows how to get the job done, and who is having a phenomenal time closing deals and making deals. So I want you to give them another opportunity to reach out and let's help them. Let's make this Detroit office the most successful office of all of NACA offices. And those of you who are looking for realtors, you know, why try at home alone? Just like Darnell said, you enter into these land contracts, you don't get title work, you don't know what you're doing. A young lady was in my class last night and she bought a property back in September and it was already being foreclosed for non-payment of property taxes. She says, gee, I didn't know. I said, well, dear, you didn't check it at all. She says, I didn't know. Somebody put a notice on my door, said they bought the house. Get a realtor. Why try at home alone? You burn up the kitchen. You don't know. If you don't know what you're doing, get a professional. And Detroit Association of Realtors are professional real estate agents and brokers who are sworn to a strict standard. So here's the phone number. Just remember this, 313-962-1313. And investors, those of you who are interested in investing in Detroit, and harnessing some of this equity for yourselves and your family, you could work with Naca. They need homes. Is that true, Darnell?
Yeah, we need homes.
They need homes, and we could take and find these homes and fix these homes up and sell them to you have a backlog, I understand, of people that's waiting for homes. Is that true?
We sure do. We have qualified buyers.
You have qualified buyers
waiting, out looking for properties right now.
Listen, they have qualified buyers. Now, this is a phenomenal time that we're living in right now because the demand is very, very high. They have a lot of qualified buyers, and so do some other programs. And you, brokers, agents, you know you have a lot of buyers that need homes. And look at the prices of these homes right now. They are psychologically depressed. Now, they're bouncing back rapidly in different areas. And quite truthfully, I don't think none of us really know what the values are now. They're all over the place, you know.
It's hard to tell.
You know, and I always say the value is what the arm's length agreement between a buyer and a seller is worth. You could take a similar house, somebody pays 60 grand, and they may have the house fixed up, but you can make that tenant ready, I say, you know. A nice kitchen, a builder cabinet. So you maybe fix that house up and you got granite, you got, you know, a stone floor, you got really great cabinets. And all of a sudden, you know, that house may go for 10 grand more. You may have $2,500 more in it. And, you know, you say, well, gee, that house was 69, 70, but people on the block may have a $100,000 mortgage from 10 years ago in the same type home. I've seen prices just double in some areas because people fix homes up. Another thing you want to remember is that the interest rates are lower now than they have ever been. If you layer all of that on top of a program where you don't need any money down, that's phenomenal. Now, Darnell talked about buying down rates, and we're going to save that for you because I want you to get all your friends and call them up and tell them in about 3 or 4 minutes we're going to talk to you. We're going to give you an example of what a rate buy down really is. But before we get to that, I want to ask a couple of more questions. Just remember, Detroit Association Realtors phone number is 313-962-1313. And Strather Academy's phone number is 313-444-9691. And this is to all of our mastermind members, all of our interns, all of our students, and all of those who desire to get involved in helping to redevelop Detroit. Just go to stratheracademy.com, read the blogs. You'll find a lot of free information there. Even if you're not ready to tackle on a class and get involved, you can still stay abreast. You know, I know we got these people coming into town every other month, and they, you know, do these weekend seminars for, you know, $1,000 or less. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, they get you for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You heard of that?
Right. Oh, yeah.
$30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And they take out millions of dollars every single month. And Detroiters put up to $30,000, put mortgages on their houses, and they buy this. They drink this juice. I got a better idea. We have a mastermind group, and instead of our mentoring program is $30,000, how about $500? You understand? For the whole year. Just go to stratheracademy.com, and we will keep feeding you like these shows. The series of these shows is one of the elements, and we do case studies and newsletters and give you tips on how you can benefit and when you buy real estate. And we're going to have an example coming up in a minute. First of all, I just want to ask you this one other question once again so I can understand. If someone is in an existing mortgage right now, a mortgage with a lender, and they're paying 8% or something, they can refinance that mortgage.
On a case-by-case basis, what that would do, if it's not free and clear and they have a mortgage,
yes,
they would contact our home save side. Because remember, like I said, we started saving people homes, getting them out of predatory loans and things like that. So they would contact our home save side to see if we could help them modify the loan, get a lower interest rate. And if their bank don't want to work with them, then we would consider just doing a straight refinance on it.
Oh, see, so you may work with them to see if you can get a home get the interest rate lowered, and that'll save everybody.
Exactly.
Oh, well, that makes sense. So I would assume your guidelines, if someone had a short sale in the last couple of years, are they qualified to buy?
It would have to be at least 2 years old.
2 years old. Same with bankruptcies.
Same with bankruptcies, for Chapter 7 bankruptcies.
I see. I heard you once say that if you have derogs on your credit report that's more than 2 years old, that you don't really count them? Oh, maybe I didn't hear that right, because I want to make sure that my ears, I want to make sure I heard this right. Stay tuned for this now.
Yes.
If you have derogs on your credit report, late
Yes.
payments and the like, derogs, that are more than 2 years, how do you apply that?
We don't require you to pay them. If it's more than 2 years old, regardless of the amount, we will not require you to pay it. The only thing you need for Naca is to say, here's why I didn't pay it, and here's why it won't happen again.
Wow, that is really something.
And if it's medical collections that are less than 2 years old,
Yes.
as long as it's less than $2,000, we won't require you to pay that as well.
Right, boy, that is really something. Now, I tell you, we got a lot of really great tidbits on this show, and I say our show is like no other show in Detroit. Okay, now he's just told you that if your derogs are 2 years or more, that Naca does not require you to pay it. Now I want you to buckle up, because I got something else to tell you. If you bought property from the Wayne County tax auction, and those and that deal is more than 2 years old, you can, with the right title company, just give us a call, you can sell that property without necessarily quieting the title. In other words, when you buy from a tax auction, in most cases, you have to quiet title. And what quiet title means is that you have to take and make sure that everybody that was associated with that property got the notice. Well, that there's usually not enough evidence, because they have to sign a certified receipt and send it back. Well, they may not be in the house. The mortgage company a lot of times don't sign whatsoever. IRS is not going to sign. So you may have people who have a legitimate lien on the property that could come back and say, hey, I didn't get notification, there's no proof. So a contractor may not have signed. So what they're looking for is that proof of service, that they were served. So if an event is more than 2 years old, the title companies now have the ability, some title companies are insuring those properties. They will insure over it if it's more than 2 years old. Isn't that great news? That means if you bought a property in 2015, at the 2015 auction, you're in good shape right now. You can go and get that property insured. That's why you have all these land contract sales. First of all, because the title company is not going to insure it, so you can't get a mortgage. Naca's not going to put a mortgage on a property unless you get proper insurance, title insurance. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So if you bought something at last year's auction, you're going to have to take and get the title quiet. And that's $1,500 usually, unless you have a package of deals. If you have 6 or more deals, you could probably get them for $1,000. Now, if you have any questions about that, just reach out to me, 313-444-9691, and certainly we can help you get the titles quiet. For starters, go to the first floor of 400 Monroe and get what we call notification, and get what am I trying to say? Freedom of information, I'm sorry, a FOIA, Freedom of Information. And it's $25, and I think it's $12.50. You can call and order it, as a matter of fact. So we're going to be right back with you, and we're going to give you a bombshell. Just stay tuned. All right, everybody, we back. Herb Strather on Detroit Talk Radio with my main man, Donnell Covey. He is the director, the office manager, the person in charge of the entire state of Michigan Naca office. And he's one of my colleagues, and he's one of our former students at Strather Academy, and we're so very, very happy that he's here. This is great educational, and it's just very, very beneficial. Now, I told you that I had something really fabulous for you, and what we call it is a rate buy-down. And I want to show you how that works and how you can use that with Naca and get you a fabulous house, maybe the most fabulous houses in Detroit, because don't forget, they go up to $215,000. $215,000. And for those of you who have Section 8, hang on, because we got some great news for you. There is a way that you can buy a house and you can get those certificates converted. Now, I want to ask you a question. Well, Donnell, can you give us the procedure? Somebody want a Naca loan. What's step 1, step 2? Spend about 3 or 4 minutes and just kind of tell us how they get pre-qualified.
Sure. It's really pretty easy.
Okay.
What we start with is our workshop. We hold them twice a month on Saturdays. Our next one will be January 20th. That's a 4-hour workshop. We call it our Qualification Workshop. It's going to tell you everything we look for, everything we need you to do, need to have in order to get qualified to purchase through Naca.
Okay, and where are these workshops held?
They're held in different spots. The next one is at New Bethel Church on Linwood. The one we had prior to that was at the Detroit Main Library.
So it's kind of every other one, maybe Detroit Library, then the community. Detroit
right.
Library.
We look for different areas in the community to hold them just so it's accessible to everyone.
Well, we volunteer our office at Strather Academy.
I would love to have one there.
Okay.
So after the workshop, you will set an appointment to come in to meet with one of our counselors.
Okay.
And that's when our counselor will look at the credit report, tell you if there's anything that we need to do as far as your credit, any documents that you still need to bring in or need to have in order to get qualified, and we'll give you what we call an action plan. That'll lay out everything with an anticipated qualification date. So if you complete that action plan, come back in with the documents that we asked for, then we send it over to the underwriter for approval.
And when you say come back with those documents, it's best to bring all of the documents you need at one time. Wouldn't you say that's one of the things?
That's the best way to do it. However, if you don't have it, we still say come in, because what we find is that if we have a buyer that's missing a few documents, they won't come to their appointment, and then they pretty much get lost.
Okay.
And they never make that appointment. They give up. So we say if you don't have everything, still come in. We'll input what you do have and give you another action plan. Say, hey, you still need these things. Come back on this date when you have it.
How old? How current must those documents be? Like within 30 days normally, like W-2s and all of that, and bank statements?
Well, the W-2s will last for a year because it's yearly. Bank statements, we need to see the most recent 3 months.
Oh, okay.
Pay stubs has to be within 30 days. And then any letter like I spoke about with the letter about your credit, why you didn't pay it and why it won't happen again, those have to be within 60 days.
Okay, I understand that. So it is important that when you start down this track, you get on it and you continue right through. Otherwise, stuff get old, expire.
Yes.
You got to go through that series again.
Yes,
and
continue, stay on it. Anything we ask for, give it to us immediately so we'll have everything, because the more you prolong it, the more you're going to have to resubmit some of the same documents.
So the next one, this is that we have now is January the 20th
Yes.
at New Bethel Church.
New Bethel Church. It's on Linwood.
Linwood.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
yes.
you go to Naca.com.
Yes, Aretha Franklin's father's church. Oh, yes.
You would see a tab that says purchase, and then go to workshop, and then you'll see all of our next workshops.
And what is that website? Just Naca.com?
Naca.com,
That's
NACA.com.
NACA.com. And that phone number again is 281-204-6222. I got that nailed down. And Strather Academy's number is 313-444-9691. Realtors, colleagues, interns, investors, Detroiters, let's join together, work with Naca. I'm sure that Bank of America and Citicorp is not really doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they were required to do it.
Yes, they have what they call CRA, Community Reinvestment Act.
Right.
They have to reinvest these funds into the community, and they chose Naca to do it with.
That's a wonderful thing. That is a wonderful thing. So we need to take advantage of this. There's nowhere in the world you're going to be able to go and get. I've never in my life heard of a deal where there is absolutely no down payment, no mandatory high credit score, no closing costs. There's some proration, some skin in the game, but I have not heard of anything so fabulous before. So
yeah, and there's no PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. There's no prepayment penalty.
And you have a discount. You have about the lowest rate in the industry. Is that true? Probably the lowest.
Yeah, we have the lowest. We're
the lowest
always
interest rate possible. Just think about that. The lowest interest rate that you could possibly get. Less than FHA. No down payment at all. No closing costs. So what is the lowest credit score you think you closed so far? I don't, just...
Down in like 500.
In the 500.
Mm-hmm. and that person got a $200,000 and something house.
So they had maybe a 575 or 550, something like that.
I think it was like 525 or something.
Oh my God. Did you hear that? 525 credit score. A $200,000 loan. This is fabulous. So I told you, I promised you something real good, and I'm ready to show you. They got all of your friends ready? I want to show you something. I like the camera to look at this, pick this up. If you all could just look at this here, right here. This is a rate buy-down sheet that I put together. That shows what happens if you buy down a rate. And now just look at this very carefully, because what we have here is a mortgage payment in this column of $455. 454 to 455. They're all within $1. There's some cents in here, 69.53, but they're all within $1 of each other. So we start off with a $100,000 loan, $455 at 3.6%. That's the approximate rate they have now, about 3.625. So let's just say 3.6. So if I, as a seller, paid for $4,000 or 4%, each 1% buys down a quarter of a rate. So if I put $4,000, which is 4% of 100, you could borrow then $113,000 and keep the same payment, 2.6%. If I put down $8,000, you could borrow $130,000, keep the same payment at 1.6%. If there's a $12,000 buy down, which means that you would have to participate, because the most seller concession you allow is 6%.
6%.
You end up with a $150,000 house. Same payment. And look at this. If you take and buy down, the maximum buy down is $13,320. You can get a $160,000 house, and you'll have a rate of an eighth. This is upside down. I think that's 6. Yes, it's 6. 0.6. 0.6, you get 150, and an eighth, you end up with 160,000. One other thing I want to point to you: whenever you get a mortgage, it's overwhelmingly a lot of interest up front. You say, gee, all I'm paying is interest. Look at this. Out of your total payment, 455 times 12 come to 5254. The interest portion is $186, and you will pay down on your principal. Just look at the principal portion of that payment. $5,400 is the total. That's the total payment, and $5,254 is the principal, and $186 is the interest. Will you look at that? And Detroiters, for $160,000, you could get one fabulous house. I mean, an absolute fabulous house.
Yes.
But it's important that you act now, because rates and prices are changing so rapidly. Just 2 years ago, 48206 prices was $35,000. I remember looking about 3 or 4 months ago on Zillow, and most of the values in 48206 was 35 to 45. Right now, those values are 65 to 70, and they're just blending the rates, because many of the homes are going for 120,000. Those 2 flats on Pingree and Euclid and Gladstone. This is what we got going on. So, everyone, this is Herb Strather, and we just have a wonderful time. All right, this is Herb Strather and Donnell Back, Donnell Covey. And he's the manager and the director of the State of Michigan Naca office. And this is really fabulous. And we just want to kind of summarize a little bit. But while we were talking, you were saying that you have training for the realtors?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
For realtors that want to learn about Naca and just how to use.
These are licensed agents.
Licensed agents that want to learn about Naca, how our program operates, how to get involved. I hold classes every first Tuesday of every month in my office on West Grand Boulevard, 3031 Suite 621.
By the way, do you have to be a realtor, or can you be an investor also?
I would invite that, open it up to investors as well.
Right. Okay. That's very good. So those of you who may be investors, you can't qualify if you own real estate already. You cannot qualify to participate as far as using Naca mortgage to buy real estate for yourself, but you can participate. You need them
we
to
will
participate.
have qualified buyers for the homes that you have for sale.
For the homes that you have qualified buyers. So this is really exciting. So if let's say if someone have a quality home, can they go through Naca and say, look, we'd like to have an open house and invite your people to
Sure
the
can.
open house?
Yes, I can.
This is fabulous.
Yeah, I can email that out to our qualified buyers. Anyone who's interested can come to the open house. I can put the pictures up on our website. We're starting to get our own Detroit office website for Naca as well.
Right.
I can put it on there. I can put it out in my lobby, things like that. So I will help investors as well. I love investors. I'm an investor. Like you said, I went to your class. Actually just closed the deal yesterday.
Yeah.
So I love working with investors. I like to see them happy and make money, and they would help my members of Naca find homes, and we'll help them sell their homes.
Detroiters, this is such great news. I mean, we will never, ever, ever have times like this again in our life. Just think about it. The rates are lower now than they ever been since I've been born, and that was a long time ago. The rates are very, very low right now. The demand is very high. Yet, there is low prices and opportunity available for a tremendous inventory that you can just buy, get ready, and market, and you got this fabulous program with buyers waiting in line. So investors, realtors, let's get involved. Those of you who are not with Detroit Association of Realtors, I urge you to join. Yes. Call 313-962-1313 and become a realtor so you have a standard of excellence so people would have confidence in dealing with you. Just because you're a licensed agent don't mean that you're a realtor. And those of you who want to learn how to do it right, who want to be able to properly leverage real estate, to buy real estate with Naca and with our other programs, come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. And that's at Strather Academy. Just go to stratheracademy.com. And we invite you to join our mastermind group. Call now, 313-444-9691, and just get a free copy of what we have. And then you will be hooked for life, I can guarantee you, because you're going to get the tidbits that you need to be successful. Donnell, I just want to thank you, my man. Just
pleasure.
really,
as
good.
Always.
So why don't you tell everybody once again what your address is really quickly.
Our address is 3031 West Grand Boulevard, Suite 621. Phone number is 281-204-6222.
All right, and this is Herb Strather, and once again, 313-444-9691. My man. Yeah.